Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video I thought I'd give you a bit of a sneak peek at the next build that I'm working on. It's actually kind of a new concept, at least for me, and it is a spin on an Autobomber, but instead of having to use heralds, well in fact you can auto cast any spell in the game. As long as it's a spell, you can indeed cast it. Now, it's a little bit of a quirky build, but I think once it's min-maxed and optimized, it could actually become the most powerful mapper that we've seen to date, assuming that you can push it to the places where I'm hoping you can, as you can pretty much incorporate pretty much every single piece of what makes the best clear skills the best, and it also can do some of the most damage in the game. So what is the build? Well, this is definitely just a working example here. You can see here that we're in the ledge. We're going to be using a level 3 ethereal knives, and I have no passives. My tree is a complete joke, so please do not pay attention to the damage at all. It's just a demonstration of what the build could look like in terms of how it functions mechanically. So I don't know what to call this build. I don't think it really has a specific name, but I'm going to call it the Heartbound Bomber from now on. That's going to be what I'm going to refer to it in my videos, as there's going to be quite a few videos on this build. So the whole idea behind the Heartbound Bomber is that you use a cast on damage taken loop to infinitely damage yourself and trigger a number of cast on damage taken setups on your gear. So for example, here I have cast on damage taken linked to a 5-link ethereal knives, and it will continually cast that without me having to cast it at all on repeat until either I cancel the loop or I die. Now, that is pretty much what you're going to see here in a second. I'll fire it up here and you guys can see, and then I'm going to explain a little bit about the rest of the build and why I think it is a contender for one of the best builds in the game. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. So it is quite a fast kind of play style. This is what I imagine it'll look like in maps. This is a fraction of the speed that I think we can expect. I am currently self-chill. This is something that will probably be improved. Right now, I'm not chilling myself very much, but I think that I can also push that even further. I have quite a lot of ideas for that as well, which I'll talk about moving forward here. But this is kind of the very beginning of the journey. I thought it would be fun to share, but you guys can see that we're casting EK without having to actually cast it, and that's pretty damn cool. All right, so let's get into the specifics of how this actually works. So I'm probably going to risk myself dying if I don't go to my hideout. So we're going to head over to the hideout so that it will cancel the loop when I get to 0 life instead of killing me. So this will, if you don't manage it correctly, just kill you straight up because the damaging loop does deal a significant amount of damage. It's designed that way. So in maps, if you don't cancel it correctly or you don't exit the zone, you will die. But without further ado, let's get into the specifics. So to start off the loop, you have to have a weapon with level 20 spectral spirits when equipped. You can get this by using an Essence of Insanity on any weapon at all. Now what this does is it spawns these little spirits around you. See, I can see I have 3 of them here, and I'm using what's called the Heartbound loop ring here. So when I weapon swap back to my primary weapons, all of those 3 minions will actually die, and it'll deal 350 times 3 to me worth of physical damage. Now, this physical damage does trigger cast on damage taken. Now, when it triggers the cast on damage taken, it's actually going to trigger summon skeletons linked to cast on damage taken with 99% reduced duration on them. So you achieve 99% reduced duration through Awaken Swift Affliction, as well as Anomalous Minion Speed, and then in addition to that, you also have to use two Dust Jewels, and that is going to give you the reduced duration that you need. If you can't afford one of those pieces, you can use 2 Dust Jewels, but obviously you're going to lose a lot of damage from not having one of the jewel sockets, which kind of sucks. Yeah, so that's kind of how you get 99% reduced duration on summoned skeletons, and essentially what that has is when you summon the skeletons with cast on damage taken, they will instantly die pretty much because it's 99% reduced duration. And what's the duration of summoned skeletons? Well, we'll take a look here. It has a duration of 20 seconds, so 99, whatever 99%, 1% of that is, I don't know what it is. So yeah, it's like 0.2 seconds or something like that. So they die, and then that then triggers Heartbound loop again, dealing this time 700 damage to me, which then triggers the casting damage taken setup for the skeletons again, and then it continues to loop infinitely based on just taking damage continually. So it keeps summoning the skeletons, they keep dying, and over and over and over and over again, and that will trigger all of your casting damage taken setups infinitely, meaning you basically auto cast anything in a casting damage taken setup, without any issues at all, which is pretty cool. Essentially giving you auto bombing, but while you're moving, which is incredibly powerful. You can use this with any spell in the game. Now, another cool thing that you get to use as a custom damage taken or just an auto bomber in general is you actually get to use phase run. I'm not sure why this happens, but you can actually custom damage taken, trigger anything, and it doesn't knock phase run off. This is basically what happens in Hideout. It infinitely loops. But if you look up here, you'll notice that I don't actually lose phase run. Let me just get some mana. I don't actually lose phase run when I'm running around. You can see that it stays on me, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, I don't have it linked to Enhance or any of the second wind or anything like that yet, but it is a pretty interesting concept, and I actually have to leave my hideout to even stop this because I don't have the cancel set up yet. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. So you can leverage phase run, one of the largest amounts of movement speed in the game, and you can have it up permanently on this build. And another cool thing about phase run is you can link it to all sorts of things to make it go even faster. You can put it in, with Enhance, you can level up the Enhance, and when you get quality on phase run, it actually gives you increased movement speed. Now, one of the top things everyone's looking for is movement speed right now. So, they're speccing into Raider to get 40 or 50% here. They're going for all sorts of crazy things just to get movement speed. Well, this build most likely is getting about 60 to 70% movement speed just from phase run alone. Now that's multiplied by self chill, which we are using a winter weave for, and then it's also multiplied by tailwind, and then it's also multiplied by torrent's reclamation. So you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. This build should be, reasonably fast, probably close, I'd say it's probably 30 to 40% slower than a lab runner unless I can really juice it up, but it's going to be one of the fastest damn mapping builds you can get your hands on. And the thing that makes it just that much faster is, of course, it's an automatic build. You're casting while you move, which is incredibly ridiculous. Now, the thing that makes the synergy so disgusting on this build is that the damage you take from Heartbound Loop is physical damage. And you can convert the physical damage you take to elemental damage using, an enchant on a corruption on a shield. There's also modifiers on chest. Right now I'm using a Cloak of Defiance, but this is absolutely not the best in slot. It's just whatever I could get my hands on. I'm going to be probably using a shaped and fused awakened Val Regalia to get the Mind Over Matter, the 15% damage, mana, whatever damage thing, as well as cold damage taken, and then that's going to give me self chill without having to use a shield, which is really, really nice. So as you can see there, you'll be chilling yourself, you get more action speed, you can get ailment effect, but the thing that really pushes this to the next level is if in some way that you're able to get the cooldown reduction required to drop the belt, you can actually use an Oxium. An Oxium basically makes it so that your chill threshold is based off of energy shield instead. You'll see all lab runners using this, but essentially because you have 0 energy shield when you take agnostic, you basically have maximum chill threshold, so you don't have to spec into any ailment effect, but because you get chilled for maximum effect because you have 0 energy shield, you basically run at the speed of a lab runner, which if you guys haven't seen lab runners, they move at I think it's 1,200% movement speed or something ridiculous. It's completely absurd, and I'm very interested to see how this build is going to actually scale and work. Now, another really cool thing about this build is that, of course, you basically get to cast as many sockets as you have. So you have one 4-socket, 4-link, filled up. That's fine. You're probably going to have one socket for a movement skill or something like that. But then all of your other sockets are fair game. You can have, 5 custom damage taken setups if you wanted to. You can have a helmet, custom damage taken. You can have gloves, custom damage taken. You basically have as many custom damage taken as you want, and you can fit into your gear. So you could use a staff for another 6 link, you know, you can use Blade for Blade Blast. Basically anything is fair game. And each of them have their own separate trigger rates and cooldowns on them. So you can essentially have, you know, insane, ridiculous amounts of scaling, and it really does open up the doorway for a lot of things. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm using an Indigon. So an Indigon build generally revolves around spending a ton of mana, and you know your mana cost increases, all sorts of stuff like that. Well, on this build, you're actually able to completely spend all of your mana and, you know, generally recover it because you're playing a Pathfinder Ascendant. And you're basically able to spend all of that mana, and then because you're using custom damage taken, you get all the benefits of Indigon without any of the cost requirements. So you can basically get it as high as possible as you want, and you don't have to worry about any of the casting costs. So you basically cheese, you know, hundreds and hundreds % increased damage on the Indigon there as well, which is completely ridiculous, actually. I think it's, you know, this item is just the source of so much cheese, it's ridiculous. Indigon is really absurd. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this short, you know, kind of a little bit of a, you know, introduction to the build. Obviously, the build is very, it's not even off the floor yet. It's basically it just got born. Level 72, no gear, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. I imagine the build will eventually be in maps, you know, give it some time and we'll be there. Quick disclaimer, if you're thinking of doing this build, already a lot of the items are fairly rare. You know, for example, you need a Hatred All's Amulet if you want to go self-chill, you know, the belt, the clusters. This is not a cheap build. It's absolutely a build that you probably will sink quite a lot of currency into it to make it even map viable. So, you know, it's a very fun science experiment. For all you people looking for a project to really take it to the next level, I think this is probably where we're all going to end up, because this does seem to have the most potential. But yeah, don't go for this if you've got a 2x budget. It's not going to work. I know that some people do have some budget versions, maybe take a look at them. But what I'm trying to do is definitely push the boat out and do some science. So I'm gonna do another run here. This is actually my second ever kind of running around on it. But it's very, very fun to play. I think it's gonna have one of the most smooth and fun playstyles of any build in the game. It's gonna have movement speed equivalent to a lab runner easily, probably once I get max gear. And that is very, very exciting with the auto cast kind of gameplay. So all that said, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed this video, a sneak peek, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.